Hello there. This is Mr. Chime from weeklybagel.com, and I'm back again with another episode of the Weekly Bagel podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about the kind of credit score you need to be able to qualify for an apartment. Before I start, I want you to know that in the United States of America, credit is king. Credit will trump cash anytime, any day when it comes to having access to some services here in the States, particularly being able to rent an apartment in the United States. And this is because having a credit history and a credit score say a lot about you to the renters. Before I start, I would like to talk about the credit system here in the United States. You probably know that, or you may not probably know that here in the States, as long as you're a working class adult and you have access to financial services that you've used, a credit file is being built on you. And there's nothing wrong with this. It's just a way that, financial companies categorize the kind of person you are when it comes to making payments on time. And the American credit score history or credit score system is classified into four. You have something called poor credit, fair credit, good credit, and excellent credit scores. Now, you're considered to have a poor credit score when your credit score is from 300 to 579. You are considered to have fair credit score when your credit ratings are between 580 to 669. You are considered to have good credit when it's 670 to 739. You are considered to have excellent credit scores when it's 740 to 799. Apartments, we always look at your credit scores and credit history before they even consider to rent an apartment to you. This is because your credit file will tell them whether you are responsible enough to follow through with the leasing agreement. If you're able to make rent on time on the same day that you have agreed with the apartment complex, or are you going to be someone that the apartment complex has to chase you down for their rent? And trust me, there are people like that out there. I don't know if you know, but there are some apartment horror stories out there where apartment complexes actually have to file to get people renting apartments evicted because of their inability to pay rent after a long time. And it's sad. There are people out there that prey on apartment complexes. So a credit score is a way of sifting through those people. So when an apartment is asking for your credit score, the apartment is trying to determine whether you're a risk. Also, they want to look into your payment history to see if you have debts that you have paid on time. Even if you still have debts that you're still paying on, they want to make sure that you're continuously paying on those debts on time, that you don't miss payments. In all, they just want to know that, you are very financially responsible as a working class adult before they're able to give you the apartment. Because remember that apartment complexes out there are there to make money. It's a profit generating system. If they're not able to make profit from collecting the rent from you, then what is the purpose of setting up the business, right? That's why they check your credit score. Now, don't get me wrong. The credit score is not the only thing that they check on. There is also another factor that they have to consider, because some people are very smart. I mean, they will spend months building up their credit score and they don't have a job, but they have a little bit of saving, right? And they will go and they will get an apartment, and then they will pay the first 2 months of rent. To pay other subsequent rent is going to be a problem. This is why apartment complexes or renters out there also look into your income. They want to make sure that you have a steady monthly income that is coming in. And when you go in there, some apartment complexes will tell you what their base rent is, and they want you to make twice the base rent. Some may say 3 times the base rent for you to be able to have access to the apartment, or for them to be able to rent you the apartment. You have to show proof that you're making twice or 3 times the base rent. Here's what I mean. Take for instance, if the base rent is, by base rent I'm talking about like how much you're supposed to pay monthly minus the utilities. Now, for instance, if the base rent they tell you is $1,000 a month, and the renter is asking for you to make twice the base rent, that means you're gonna be making at least $2,000 a month for you to qualify for such an apartment. If it's 3 times the base rent, you're gonna be making at least $3,000 for you to qualify for the apartment. And credit score and your income. Your credit score and your income is going to work hand in hand for you to be able to get an apartment. What do I mean by this? Apartments, we always look at your credit score. Now, your credit score may not be excellent. It might not be good. It might be a fair credit score, which is 580 to 669. That's okay, as long as you're making the required amount of money monthly to qualify for it. So apartment complexes will always look at your credit score or your income to be able to rent their apartments to you. What is a good credit score for an apartment? You may ask me. Well, I'm assuming by now, having listened to the last episode of the Weekly Bagel podcast, you have decided whether to go with a roommate or not. Because the last episode I talked about whether it was smarter to have a roommate or just to do it alone. And I also talked about the pros and cons, right? That is the headaches and the mental distress and the loneliness. I talked about all this in the last episode. So I'm assuming by now you've already decided how to go about it. Maybe you want to do it alone. Maybe you want to, have company, by sharing your personal space with somebody else. Whichever one you decide, the minimum credit score you're gonna need for an apartment is gonna be at least 650. You have to be in fair credit. You have to at least be in fair credit score range for apartments to even consider you. You know what I mean? If you're coming in with a poor credit score, they won't even look at you. Especially if the poor credit score is a result of a history of not making payments on time. They're going to see you as a high risk person, and they won't rent the apartment to you. This is regardless of how much whatever amount you have in your bank account. Because this is American. I told you credit is king, right? Even if you have $10,000 saved in your account and you come in with a credit score of 150, nobody's gonna listen to you. I mean, they're gonna entertain you and all that, but they won't rent the apartment to you. Why? Because they don't want a situation whereby they went and did their credit background check on you, and they found that your credit score is 150, and this is a result of you always borrowing debt that you don't pay back on time, or borrowing debt that you don't even pay back. You're going to be considered as a high risk investment. Excuse me. You're going to be considered as high risk, given that you have a history of not making payments whenever you have access to financial services like credit cards or other forms of debts, right? And they're going to look at that and see that if you already have a history of doing this, chances are you're not going to make your rent on time. So they won't even look at you. So for you to be able to qualify for an apartment, your credit score needs to be at least within the fair credit range, which is 580 to 669. It has to be at least 650. 650 will get you started, plus your income. According to apartmentlist.com, the average credit score for an apartment is about 638. So if you have that and you have an income, monthly income that is very consistent, chances are you're going to get the apartment. Especially if you're not a first-time renter. Because if you're a first-time renter and you have a credit score that is less than 670, and you're coming in with an income, a monthly income that is very consistent, apartments would always like to protect themselves, and they would do that by asking you to make a deposit that is higher than usual. What do I mean by this? If other apartment people, if other people that are applying for the apartment are making down $400 as deposit, yours is going to be higher. Yours might be 600 or 700 because you're considered high risk since you're a first-time renter. So for you to be able to qualify for an apartment, you need to make sure that those 6 months that I advised you on in the previous episodes to save money, those 6 months that I told you to save money, right? At least saving money for 6 months. You're not just saving money for 6 months. I also want you to be building your credit history at the same time, because you don't want to come in to apply for an apartment and you don't even have a credit history. That shows to some apartment complexes out there or renters out there that you have not established any form of financial responsibility. This is regardless of whether you were paying rent at your mom's place or your dad's place, or whether your roommates and you were, sharing utilities and paying rent. They don't care. So this is why it's important that during those times where you're saving to move, that you're actually also working on your credit history. And I am going to attach some articles about how to go about this on this episode. I'm sure that if you go on my on this episode and look down on the article part, you should be able to see the links to the articles, and I'll show you exactly how to go about building your credit score. This is before you even consider searching for the apartment, because that needs to be done already, right? All right. Now I know that you're nervous. I mean, especially if you're a first-time renter, even if you're not a first-time renter, you're also nervous because getting an apartment here in the States, especially in big cities, sometimes it might be a hassle. You get what I mean? And if you're doing it on your own without the use of services that help you to locate an apartment, it's a big burden. And you want to make sure that before you even go there, that on your part you have already dot your I's and your T's, right? That you already have a fair to a good or excellent credit score, and you have a job with at least 2 months payment history, because you're gonna need to print that out to take with you to the place. Um, if you're nervous, it's normal, and if your credit score is too low, something can always be done about it. As long as it's not a poor credit score. You get what I mean? It's a score that ranges between 300 and 579. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine, especially if you have an income already that is very consistent and your income is twice or three times the rent. You're gonna be all right. And don't be ashamed to ask questions once you get there. Some apartment complexes or renters are willing to work with you. This is because every day the apartment is empty, they're losing money. So they want to fill up the apartments as quickly as they could. But at the same time, they don't want to make a mistake of putting somebody in there that is a bum. Somebody that won't really make rent on time, that have excuses for each time the payment day comes. So be sure to always ask your questions. And if you have a fair credit score, say your credit score is about, say, 600, and you're afraid that that's going to be an issue, talk to the people there about it once you go over there to apply. It's always good to bring evidence of a monthly paycheck that is twice or three times the base rent. So you can tell them, hey, listen, currently my credit score is about 600, but this is how much I'm making. And, you have a history of, making payments on time. It helps when you're not a first time renter. You could also give them the number of your previous apartments and tell them to call them to confirm that you always make your rent on time. And most apartments, they will follow through. They will call to make sure that, okay, that you are someone that is financially responsible. This is especially if they run their credit background check on you and it's coming up 580 or say 590 or 600, and they see that you're making enough income to afford the rent. They're gonna be like, okay, well, the credit score may not be the best of credit scores, but let's call the previous apartment and see if this person is actually someone that makes rent on time, and they will do that. And if they do that and find out that you make your rent on time, you're good to go. They will consider you. Remember, it's your life, and you want a place where you're gonna be very comfortable, right? I talked about this when I talked about whether it was wise to have roommates or live alone. I talked about, before you even get a place of your own, you want an apartment that will not be a burden to you, something that will help you meet your goal, which is to have a roof on your head without creating you much stress, right? So I would rather suggest that you make sure that before you even go to apply for the apartment, to build your credit, at least bring it up to at least 650 before you even go. The reason being that I don't want you to make a higher than usual deposit, because if your base rent is $1,000 and you're a first time renter and you don't have much of a credit history, but your credit score is within the fair credit range, I don't want apartments to be asking you to put down 800. That's gonna be eating into your that is going to eat into your savings, right? I don't know where you are as a working class adult, but if you're on the lower tier of the working class stratum, um, it's going to eat into your savings. So let's make sure that we are building our credit scores and history before we even start going to apply for an apartment. Let's make sure that we have it at least 650 before we even go to apply for an apartment. So that way we are not going to put down an outrageous deposit for the apartment, right? And our rent is not going to be higher because our credit score is bad or because we are first time renters with a bad credit score. So I just thought that I should bring that up. So that way, while you're out there trying to get your own apartment or you're hunting for an apartment, that, you have done everything that you need to do on your part. Because you know fully well that it's not just going to be you applying for that apartment. There are other people, tens of people that want the same apartment as you. So you want to be able to stand out. And you're not going to stand out if you're coming in with a very poor credit score and you have a credit history of not making payments on time and all that. So now let me. I know you're probably thinking, say, if you're someone that used to have a poor credit score and you manage to raise it up to a good credit score range, which is 670 to 739, and you're afraid that the apartment is going to see a history of you missing payments on the credit and all that, don't worry about it. Don't worry. As long as you've shown over the past 6 months or so consistent payments on your debts, and these debt payments are on time, I don't think there's anything you should be worried about. Because remember, what they're looking for is that you are making payments on time, not that you just miss one payment or two payments. Or you get what I mean? So I just want to throw that out there because as a fellow working class adult, I know the stress that comes with apartment hunting, especially if it's your first time. And I just want to make sure that you're not going in there very, very anxious and you don't think that you're going to get the apartment. I need you to be very positive. Go in there like an adult that works. And what do I mean by this? Go in there like an adult that has always taken care of himself or herself. That you're going to be the one paying your own rent and you have what it takes to pay your own rent because you're making 3 times or twice the monthly rent. And, you're not known to be owing debts here and there, whether it's credit card debts or other apartments you've lived in, you have not been paying rent over there. You're not known to be doing that. And you can always show your W-2 or your pay stubs or your bank statements to back your income. So that way we see that and be like, okay, this is someone that is serious. This is someone that needs a roof over his or her head. And like I said, they're out there to make money. So, and they're out there to fill those empty apartments. So if you can be able to show them that you got enough dough on you and your credit score reflects that your credit score reflects that you're financially responsible, and that once they rent that apartment to you, you're going to be able to make your rent, and you won't be someone that they have to chase down for apartments. You won't be someone that they have to chase down for rent every single month. Then they will give you the apartment. They will give you the apartment. Now let's talk about building a credit score. I know that I'm going to attach some articles that will tell you how to do that, but I figured I could, summarize the way you could do this. Now, let me tell you something. Your credit score does not reflect your net worth. It does not reflect who you are as a person. It just tells the renters that you're financially responsible or that you have low risk of suddenly not making monthly rent, right? Why do I feel the need to bring this up? The reason is there are some people in the States here that we spend months working on their credit score. They will have the very excellent credit scores. I'm talking about 750. And they don't have a job, right? But they have a little bit of savings. And they will get an apartment. And the apartment will run a credit background check on them and see that the credit scores are good, very excellent. and these people sometimes might falsify records of their bank statements, and or they may show the savings that they have in their bank account, and the apartment will rent the apartment to them, and then they will make the first, second, and third monthly payment, and then the rest is just going to be history. Hassle, a hassle just to get them to pay rent. Yes, they are working class. There are adults like that out there. All right. So would you say that the, the credit score is a reflection of their character, of their worth as a person? No, because why? Credit scores can always be cheated on. Uh, I mean, anyone without a job can build a very good credit score. Is basically what I'm trying to say. You may not have a job, but you can build an excellent credit score. And here is how you do it. This is whether you have a job or not. You're gonna go to your bank, right? And you're gonna ask your bank for a beginner credit card. Usually, you ask them for the one where you are going to make. You're gonna put down a collateral, which is in form of money. You may give them like $500 and be like, okay, I want you to lock this and attach my builder's credit card to the $500, and make sure that each time I try to spend more than the 500, or I try to max out the 500, cut me off in terms of make sure I don't spend more than that. And the reason why you put down the 500 is just in case if you are spending on that credit card and it's time for your monthly rent, your monthly bill, and you don't pay back the money that you've spent, the bank is just going to go into that 500 and take the amount that you've spent to clear your debt. So this is a great way of building your credit history and your credit score. And you could do this for 6 months. Say if you don't have any credit history whatsoever and you start doing this for 6 months, I'm sure by the end of 6 months, your credit score should be within the fair range to good score. Yes, that's how you do it. Anyway, I am going to attach articles again that will elaborate more on this. Like I said, all you need to be able to get an apartment is going to be a credit score of at least 650, and an income that is very consistent, maybe 3 times the monthly rent or twice the monthly rent. We always recommend 3 times the monthly rent. If you're able to get all this, you're going to get the apartment. You will be able to get the apartment. You won't have an issue with it. Well, that's all I have to tell you today. I figured I could just talk about this in this episode, because I know some people, when they go out to get an apartment, thinks you're just gonna walk in and show your income and that's gonna be it. No, credit is king here in the States. If you don't have a credit history or credit score, it's hard to get loans, it's hard to get access to apartments, it's hard to get financial services, because businesses that are set up like that would always want to take a look at your ability to make rent, your ability to make payments that you owe. They would like to assess it and see if you're able to do that before they even let you have that access to such services, right? Well, talk about hustle culture. This is all you need to know before going to go apply for that apartment, with respect to credit score. Now, let me tell you something before I shut down this episode. When some apartments ask for 3 times the monthly rent, if you're not able to make it, there also are other ways around this. You could use a guarantor. That's someone that will come in and sign on your behalf and be like, yeah, okay, I am going to be able to help him make this. I'm going to be able to help her make this rent. Some apartments most apartments will not allow that, but some apartments are able to, let you do that. And if you are not able to make 3 times the monthly rent, some apartments will just simply ask for a higher security deposit, you know, just to make sure that there won't be issues with respect to making rent every month. Others may ask for savings. And once again, if you plan on having a roommate, sorry, if you plan on having a roommate, I meant to say, forgive the English. If you plan on having a roommate, that's going to help you out. Especially if the roommate has a job. Even if the job is not 3 times the monthly rent, as long as you two are going to be splitting the bills to the middle, that the apartment complex might consider renting the apartment to you too, because now you're no longer talking about one person's rent, one person's monthly income. You're talking about 2 people with 2 different credit scores, with 2 different incomes coming in to split down the monthly rent and utility bills 50-50. So it's not gonna fall on one person now to carry the whole burden of making rent. So if you considered having a roommate like I mentioned in the last episode, this is gonna help you get the apartment as long as your credit score is within fair credit range or good credit range. And even if yours is not within fair credit range or good credit range, your roommate's credit score might be used to get you guys the apartment. Yeah. Anyways, that is all I wanted to talk to you about today. Be sure to build your credit score before even going out to apply for an apartment. Remember when I mentioned in an episode that you need to save for 6 months at least? Use that opportunity to also get that beginner's credit card from your bank and work on building your credit score, so that at the end of 6 months, if you were saving for 6 months, or at the end of 1 year, if you were saving for 1 year, your credit score would look really nice. And now when you walk into these apartment complexes or leasing offices, you're walking in confidently because you have everything they need. You are the perfect candidate for this apartment. I'm always rooting for you, and I know that you make me proud. We are working class adults out there, and we're doing our best, and I know that you are going to do your best. This is just a stepping stone for you. It's not the end or be all for you. So don't stress too much about it. Just follow the things that I've said in this episode and in the previous episodes, and things will go very well for you. Once again, I remain yours truly, Mr. Chime, and I hope you have a wonderful week ahead. Ciao.